Hello and welcome to the news on NT International. I am Elizabeth Omori and our sign language interpreter is Hannah Olainka. Now let's take a look at the headlines. VP Shatima at Digital Nigeria Day affirms federal government's investment in tech infrastructure. PDP crisis continue as court again holds planned Ibadan convention. NAFDAC places total ban on production and sales of alcohol in sachets and small plastic bottles. Now the news. Digital technology and innovation hold the key to increased productivity and economic prosperity. Chimdima Undubisi reports that the Vice President Kashim Shettima at the Digital Nigeria International Conference and Exhibition says the federal government is prioritizing huge investments in digital technology infrastructure, especially the bridge project of installing 90,000 kilometer fiber optic for improved internet connectivity even in rural communities, the highest World Bank approved digital project globally, so that every corner in Nigeria will feel the impact of governance and economic growth through the use of digital technology. The federal government is also training citizens, especially youths, on how to navigate the digital space or use digital tools to create goods and services and solutions in agriculture, economy and education that will make life easier for the populace.
Has positioned Nigeria as one of the most dynamic fintech ecosystems in the world. And now we are opening the next frontier. We are in the advanced stage of passing the national digital economy and e-governance bill into law. Every line of code written by our developers is a new export product. Every piece of intellectual property created by our brilliant minds is a new national asset. You, the innovators, are the engine that will drive Nigeria away from over-dependence on finite resources and towards an infinite one, which is human creativity.
We must make technology ubiquitous so that our farmers can also leverage this innovation to improve productivity. You can think of this in education, in public health, and we know that with artificial intelligence, we now have a once-in-a-generation opportunity to reimagine what is possible. From smarter governance to predictive healthcare to agricultural optimization and to infiltrate.
As these policymakers, innovators and investors gather is on how efforts will be sustained to secure the nation's digital future. To gender inclusion, the quest for gender equity in Nigeria hits a major milestone with the inauguration of Senator Oluremi Tinubu Gender Center of Excellence at the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, Kuru in Plateau State. Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, while inaugurating the center, says efforts to dismantle stereotypes against women and promote inclusion must be a shared national agenda. Status correspondent Adeni Taiwo reports.
Recognizing that inclusion must be a shared national agenda. Actual progress will come when both genders stand as allies working together to dismantle stereotypes, open opportunities, and strengthen our collective humanity. To the future scholars, policymakers, and leaders who will pass through this gender center, I say let it stand as a hub of ideas and actions where innovation blends with empathy and policies are forged with wisdom and compassion. And I pray it will serve as a center of excellence for gender-focused policy research, strategic engagement, and capacity building, nurturing ideas that advance gender awareness and gender-sensitive policy making in Nigeria, Africa, and the world.
I want to pledge the support of the Plateau State government in working together, not only with the National Institute, but this very center, to actualize the vision of this center. More so, because you have placed a name on it that I respect and I love.
It provides a platform for research, training, and dialogue that will help integrate gender perspectives into governance and public policy at all levels. Through this center, NIBS will continue to serve as a catalyst for the inclusive governance, empowering both women and men to drive a meaningful change in Nigeria and across Africa.
We apologize for the loss of audio at the beginning of that report. Now, Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu has called on Nigerian youths to stand in the gap and build a future devoid of ethnic and religious sentiments. In a message to the Christian Youth Conference organized by the Youth Wing of the Christian Association of Nigeria, the First Lady admonished the youths to be bridge builders and resist anything that tends to create negative feelings and hatred about others. Represented by the wife of the Chief of Staff to the President, Salamatu Gbajabiamila, the First Lady assured Nigerians that the present administration will continue to protect and project the interest of the youths by creating opportunities for them to excel.
32, to embrace the truth as your compass. Speak it boldly against the lies of division. Use your platforms on social media, campus fellowships, and your community outreaches to amplify stories of love, unity, and resilience. Know this, that a house divided against itself cannot stand.
Let us not be discouraged. Let us not be divided. Let us not lose hope. Let us sue for peace and tranquility in our land. We, who are the vanguard of tomorrow's Nigeria, I urge us today to embrace this theme, not as a slogan, but as a summons. Let the truth set you free.
The conference is Let the Truth Set You Free. To livestock development, animal feeds experts, technical and development partners in West Africa are meeting in Abuja to advance ECOWAS regional animal feeds industry agenda. Issues of technology adaptation, safety and expansion of the industry to support regional food security are top on the agenda. Kelvin Elnwai reports.
Livestock sector occupies a central place in the economies of ECOWAS member states. It contributes to food security, job creation, and the income of millions of rural households. But its development remains hindered by major constraints like non-availability of quality and affordable animal feeds. Yet, the sub-region is blessed with vast potential to create genuine animal feed industry that is competitive, sustainable, and job-creating. This workshop signals ECOWAS' commitment through its regional agricultural policy on livestock sector to improve the sector, working within the framework of the Research and Innovation Project on Agro-Pastoral Systems in West Africa, PRISMA, supported by the Spanish Cooperation Agency and the European Union. With Nigeria establishing a livestock development ministry, other member states are encouraged to show commitment towards building a technology-driven sector in which animal feed production is a major component.
Animal feed accounts for a significant portion of animal production costs. The lack of industrial infrastructure, dependence on imported inputs, climate variability, and insufficient regional coordination limits the competitiveness of this sector.
In addition to the animal value chain, PRISMA has a component for analyzing the presence of aflatoxins, for which it has analyzed animal feed samples and established a network of laboratories in Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, and Nigeria, with SHESCO here in Abuja at the reference laboratory.
The two-day workshop, being attended by participants from both public and private sectors from the sub-region along with development partners, will also be used to review outcomes of previous studies supported by ECOWAS towards making the regional food security reserve more operational and more effective in crisis management. In Abuja, Kelvin Ebonwaye, NTA News.
Now to the foreign scene, Thailand's army on Tuesday say hostilities still remain with Cambodia a day after Bangkok suspended the implementation of a US-backed peace deal over a landmine blast that wounded 4 troops. Plus, India vows to punish those behind Delhi car blast. Chukunonso Mwabweze reports.
A Thai government spokesman said on Tuesday that Thailand's Ministry of Defense will continue to assess the situation until signs of hostility from Cambodia subsides. Cambodia, on the other hand, said the situation on the border remains calm. However, Thailand's response suggested that tensions have returned with the suspension of the pact's implementation. Cambodia's defense ministry expressed its regret over the latest mine blast, but insists that the munitions were relics of past conflicts, emphasizing that it remains committed to the peace deal. The deal brokered by U.S. President Donald Trump in October was meant to wind down a conflict that peaked with 5 days of clashes in July that killed at least 43 people and displaced about 300,000 civilians on both sides.
All those responsible will be brought to justice.
Meanwhile, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday called a deadly car explosion in the heart of the capital a conspiracy, vowing that those responsible will face justice. However, police are yet to give exact details of what caused Monday's incident near the historic Red Fort, one of India's most well-known landmarks and the site of the Prime Minister's annual Independence Day speech. The blast killed at least 8 people, leaving many others injured when flames ripped through several vehicles. It was the first significant security incident since a shooting attack in late April that left 26 civilians dead.
It is working on a legislation that proposes earmarking of excise duty on non-alcoholic carbonated or sweetened beverages to the health sector. The bill, which elicited debate for and against its passage, eventually scaled second reading. The bill seeks channeling part of existing revenue from sugar-sweetened beverages to fund infrastructure and initiatives in the preventive and primary health care.
In the way that that money can be harvested and deployed to help, the health sector. It makes sense. It makes sense. But to now create a bill in respect of that, I think it's not proper. What we should have done is to come with a motion, to draw the attention of the executive arm of government to make these adjustments.
In the meantime, confirmed appointment of Okpeyemi Olukayode as chairman and 4 commissioners for the National Pensions Commission. Talking border security, the Ministry of Interior is proposing a comprehensive national policy on border security, including a review of the ECOWAS Free Movement Protocol as panacea to myriad of security challenges, particularly along the nation's land borders. At an interactive session on border security in the House of Representatives, speakers attributed the escalation of cross-border crimes to inadequate border security personnel and equipment, as well as the absence of multilateral border security framework between Nigeria and her neighbors.
Shelter. There is need for us to develop a national policy on border security that clearly defines the roles of every relevant agency at the border. There is need to create a consistent funding framework for border security. There is need for us to institute measures for critical training and capacity building for immigration officers.
We recommend enhanced surveillance technology, focus on Sahel, and resource allocation. Adequate resources and personnel, that's increasing recruitment, must be allocated to critical border zones.
The goal is to identify vulnerabilities, operational shortcomings, and even compromised border officials. You must review how money is allocated to relevant agencies to protect our borders are spent.
Secure the sovereignty and ensuring the prosperity of our great nation.
Correspondent Mitari Ikme reports that the House adjourned plenary on Tuesday without entertaining any motion listed on the order paper. This was after a closed-door session. You're watching the news on NT International. Let's take a breather. More reports ahead. To stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. The Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has again stopped the People's Democratic Party from proceeding with its planned national convention slated for November 15 and 16, 2025 in Ibadan, Oyo State capital. Justice Peter Lifu gave the order this Tuesday in a ruling on an ex parte motion filed by the former Jigawa State Governor, Sule Lamido. Sule Lamido, one of the founding members of the PDP, prayed the court for an interim order stopping the planned convention pending the hearing and determination of the motion or notion. Justice Peter Lifu in a ruling held that the application of the plaintiff has merit and succeeds, and consequently restrained the PDP from convening its planned national convention scheduled for November 15 and 16 in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, pending the hearing and determination of the substantive suit. The court also restrained the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, from monitoring and recognizing the November 15 and 16 national convention scheduled to hold in Ibadan, pending the hearing of the substantive suit filed by the plaintiff, which is pending before the court. The National Convention is meant to elect new national officers to steer the affairs of the party. Now to health. Coordinating Minister of Health, Professor Ali Pati, says the administration of President Bola Tinubu is changing the narrative in the entire health sector, and there's a need for all stakeholders to support that drive. Professor Pati stated this at the launch of the National Action Plan on Prevention, Detection and Response to Substandard and Falsified Medical Products and other initiatives of the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control. Haman Germany reports.
The three initiatives include National Action Plan on Prevention, Detection and Response to Substandard and Falsified Medical Products in Nigeria 2023 to 2027, which reaffirms Nigeria's dedication to protecting its citizens from unsafe medical products and ensure that every medicine used in the country meets the highest standard of quality, safety and efficacy. The NAFDAC Office of Women and Child Health will strengthen health of women and children who remain among the most vulnerable groups in the society, while maternal, newborn, child health and nutrition aims to ensure the availability, quality, safety and efficacy of essential health and nutrition products that address the leading causes of maternal and child morbidity and mortality.
Through the Office of Women and Children's Health, NAFDAC seeks to champion safe motherhood, promote rational medicine use, encourage breastfeeding, and combat harmful practices such as drug misuse and unsafe cosmetics. It also aims to support the local production of pediatric medicines and menstrual hygiene products in close collaboration with ministries, NGOs, and private sector partners.
Coordinating Minister of Health, Professor Ali Pati, while commending the initiative, says the federal government is doing much to ensure Nigerians enjoy better services in the health sector under President Tinubu's administration.
These initiatives represent our own unwavering commitment to improving the health and well-being of women, children and families across Nigeria while safeguarding the integrity of our healthcare system. Everyone knows President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came in at a time when our country was really in dire straits. But thanks to his leadership, his focus on the health and well-being of Nigerians, we're seeing the beginnings of the result in that part. And this effort by NAFDAC is very much in line with that directive that we have to do all that we can to save the lives of our women, newborns and children, including on the nutritional side, because if it matters.
The initiatives aim to reconnect pillars which reflect NAFDAC's vision, where no mother dies from preventable causes, no child suffers from malnutrition, and no patient is harmed by falsified medical products. Hamad Jabani, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has reaffirmed its commitment to enforce the total ban on the production and sale of alcohol beverages in sachets and small volume PET or glass bottles below 200 ml by December 2025, in line with the recent directive of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Director General Professor Mojisola Adeyeye explained that the action ordered by the Nigerian Senate and endorsed by the Federal Minister of Health and Social Welfare and discussed the agency's statutory mandate to safeguard public health and protect vulnerable population, particularly children and young adults, from harmful alcohol use. She emphasized that the ban is not punitive but protective, aimed at preserving the health and future of Nigerian youths. According to her, the decision is rooted in scientific evidence and public health considerations. It is gathered that the agency will continue to work collaboratively with the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare, the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, and the National Orientation Agency to implement nationwide sensitization campaigns on the health and social dangers of alcohol consumption in sachets and small bottles. Still on health, behind every cancer battle lies a story of strength, pain and hope. To bring light to these dark moments, the Medicaid Cancer Foundation has extended a compassionate hand, disbursing $100 million to support patients in their journey to healing and survival. Uche Ugochukwu tells us more.
6-7 years ago, on my right breast, there was a tiny bean-sized lump that was there. And I actually didn't pay attention to it because I never knew that men can actually have breast cancer.
49-year-old Jacob Omonade was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2024 and has already spent about 18 million naira for treatments, turning his savings to debts. Reasons for many late or abandoned treatments.
Cancer is very toxic. I've lost money, I've lost relationships, I've lost a bit of my self-confidence.
The Medicaid Cancer Foundation's tranche of 100 million naira is now reaching 60 patients like Jacob and Gloria, covering treatment cycles.
I see how it's done in other high-income countries. I know that Nigeria is a country that has great potential, that has the resources, particularly with regards to human power. We have so many great dedicated oncologists, nurses, and so on that are working in the sector, but we just need the right structure.
But with about 125,000 new cases recorded annually in Nigeria and only a fraction of funds available, the need far exceeds supply.
The government is doing its own to actually put more funds, into the program.
So if we are able to strengthen this community awareness and strengthen our primary health care system to be able to respond in early detection and early referral, we are going to reduce the burden.
If they come stage 1, stage 2, prognosis is always better. At the end of the day, you have higher probability of cure.
The message is clear. Early detection and treatments save costs and lives. Medicaid Cancer Foundation supporters were recognized for their contributions. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
Ending sexual and gender-based violence just got easier with the presentation of a joint declaration by leaders of faith and culture to prevent gender-based violence in Nigeria, the reports. Sexual and gender-based violence, a global concern that needs collaborative and intentional approaches to tackle. Here is a courageous survivor who was sexually abused by her own father. Her home became a place of horror, but today she found hope.
So at the age of 8, my mom saw when my dad was raping me. She wanted to call my dad's people, but my dad begged her. So she forgave him, saying that she's trying to protect her marriage.
Perpetrators of the violence are not only the boys that were not trained by parents. Parenting is mostly left for the mother, and that is where the error starts. And so everybody who participates in the birth process must be responsible in giving basic values to help protect society and improve on the economy of the nation.
Initiatives like this give survivors a chance to heal and find purpose. This forum brought together faith and cultural leaders from Nasarawa, Niger, and the FCT to address this issue.
When those who shape values, our religious leaders, our cultural institutions, our community elders, choose to stand against violence, the entire community shifts.
My role is to pick out those norms and culture that promotes gender-based violence, and then ensure that we build alternative cultures and norms.
They recommend strengthening of laws to punish offenders and breaking the silence to tackle SGBV. Elizabeth Omo. President Bola Tinubu congratulates the Emir of Ilorin, Dr. Ibrahim Solugambari, on the 30th anniversary of his coronation. The president salutes his visionary leadership and commitment to the development of the city of Ilorin. The president highlights the courage, integrity, sense of justice and fairness that have characterized the Emir during his reign. President Tinubu wishes him more years on the throne and in good health. And that ends the news at this time on NT International. Thank you so much for your time. I'm Elizabeth Omori, and our sign language interpreter is Anna Olainka.